me just reboot myself. I was into a different call for last couple of hours. Don't have anything in my mind right now. Okay, so what we are doing yesterday, we are trying to do something client-side load balancing, right? And today we'll be proceeding further. I think you guys can hear me well. I've started the recording. Let me start the Zoom recording as well. Record to the cloud.
Recording in progress.
All right, started the Zoom recording as well. So we can get started right now. Can I open my STS? Yeah, we are good. So first of all, guys, very sorry to call you guys on a Saturday. I know you guys, some of you wanted to attend, but you had some work, you had some plans. So I'm really sorry about that. If you have missed it just because of my unscheduled call, I'll make sure that from the next week, it should be from next week we'll have 3 classes. One on Wednesday, one on Friday, one on Thursday. Okay, and maybe next week we can start having four classes per week or 5 classes per week. I'll just try to figure out if I can do something with the class schedule of this batch. Okay, but anyhow, that's good. So the next class will be on Wednesday if you are hearing it, and in this class let's get started with some of the very important things. I will not be start telling you a lot of concepts today. Rather, we'll try doing some coding here, and whatever the concept that we have learned so far, we'll be utilizing those things, and I will be making sure that I'll give you guys something to practice on this weekend so that you can utilize all your skills, learning concepts, whatever you have learned so far, you can utilize them. Okay, so what is going to be the concept for today? Everyone, please be on mute. All right. So what is going to be the concept for today? Okay, so let's try to do one thing at first. Let's try to implement Open Feign REST client in our microservices. Like whenever we are making any REST calls, I already told about a REST template and client-side load balancing with REST template. Today, let's see the Open Feign, and if it is possible, I'll tell you a little bit about web client as well. But my main intention is to teach you Open Feign, or to integrate Open Feign with my client-side microservices so that you can make a REST call using Open Feign. And throughout this entire course, we will go ahead and learn different things, right? We are just starting up. Everywhere I'll be using Open Feign to make REST calls, right? So far what we have done, so we have our employee service, our discovery service, and address service. Let me start few instances off. So first let me start my discovery service, and then let me start my employee service, and then let me start one instance of address service, maybe in port number 8082. And once they are up, I will go to Eureka. I'll hit localhost colon 5000, enter. And there you go. My address service and employee service are up and all good, right? Oh, this thing we haven't fixed, right? Whenever we are clicking on this, it's basically navigating us to actuator.info. And you can see in both of my application, when I click on this link, I basically have this guy, actuator.info. Can someone tell me why do we need an actuator, and why Spring people thought of giving the actuator endpoints when somebody clicks here? By default, it is opening some actuator endpoints like info. So why do we need actuators in Spring Boot? Anyone remember?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Pankaj, why do we need actuator?
Actuator used for health check, sir.
Health check. Okay, health check. Right answer. Any modified answer to this? Modified answer? Can somebody give?
Server is up or down.
Correct. Yes, health check. That's what you said. Health check. If the service is up or down, we can check over here. So instead of APIs actuator/info, if I'll do actuator/health, it should get me the health updates, but it's not giving me that, right? Any other specific answers? Why do we need Spring Boot actuators in our project? Anyone? You can try. Akhil, why do we need actuators?
No.
Whereas I was thinking about there are some metrics, right?
Exactly. Application metrics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically how Actuators is helping us here. Monitoring our application, right? We have couple of applications, address service, employee service. I want to monitor different things about my address service, my employee service, like how many threads are running in address service, how many beans we have inside the address service. Is the address service is up or down? Most importantly, if the address service is up or down, if somebody wants to know that, how can they know? Let's say I have deployed this service in my some cloud or something. Somebody wants to know whether that service is up or down so that I can connect to that particular service. So how they will do a health check. And for that, we expose different endpoints. If you remember, like if you're going to click over here, by default, it is navigating me to actuator/info. So basically, if we have actuator implemented in our application, it is going to pop out the information about my application that I did just hit this address app. Right now, I don't have any actuators implementation over here, so it is not popping out any application related information. Similarly, as Pankaj was explaining, if you're going to make it health here, it is going to tell you like, whether your application, whether your address app is up or down. So basically for monitoring purpose, we can use actuators and we don't have it right now. So let's do one thing. I can do one thing. I can basically go to my employee service and let's have a actuator implementation so that whenever I will click on here, this will not going to give me a fallback 404 page. Rather, it's going to pop out some information about my application. Anybody remember from the Spring Boot batch how I'll be doing it if I want to implement actuators inside employee service?
First, you need actuator dependency, right?
Exactly, Felix. Let me have the actuator dependency over here. So let me go over here and have the Spring Boot actuators. Where is that? Spring Boot actuators right here. Click on this, update your POM, do a next. This is my Spring Boot actuator dependency. Let me bring it to this side. I'll click here, so all POM will be same like the updated one and the previous one. And now I can just simply do a maven update to be in the safer side. So maven update project, so that it will make sure that I'm forcing it to update my dependencies. And there you go. So right now by default I have my actuators endpoint in my class path. So right now if I will go over here and if I will click on this, why I'm not getting the info here? I already have the dependency, right? But can I check the health? Okay, I'm also not getting health here. What's the problem? I have dependency in my employee service right now, pom.xml, and right now you can see I have Spring Boot actuators in place as a dependency. If you want me to stop the employee service and restart it, I'm doing it right now. So okay, I mistakenly stopped address service, no problem. Let me stop the employee service. And right now, can I restart it? Do a right click, run as Spring Boot app. Do you think right now the health endpoint will work?
No.
No? Do you think the info endpoint will work?
No.
No? Click on here. Info is not working. Do you think the health will work? How it is working? Right now. Anyone? Now the health endpoint is working, right? Control C. Can I click a normal window? Now see, the health is working, right? How it is working?
I think the health endpoint is internally maintained.
Okay, the health endpoint comes free whenever you have actuators dependency in place, right? So basically whenever you click on this, you can see it is opening your actuator/info, but the actuator/info, it is not by default, it's not by default there. You have to activate the information. You have to activate this endpoint, but by default, the health endpoint, the health check endpoint is activated. So you can just do a status check by hitting this endpoint that whether your application employee app is up or down. So how can I turn on the health information so that when I can click on this, sorry, not the, I mean the application information. So if somebody can click on this, he will be seeing some details about my application. How can I turn this on? In a Spring Boot Actuator, using the Spring Boot Actuator, how can I configure the info endpoint? Anybody remember from your Spring Boot batch?
I think in their properties file, you have
Exactly.
to add some
Exactly.
property.
You have to add a property. Can I go over there? Can I open that with the generic editor? Anybody remember what is the property? I don't remember also. I only remember expose. I only remember expose, web.expose. It's from the management. Management.endpoints.web.exposure.exclude. Endpoint, if you can use star to like, expose all the endpoints to check the application metrics. Not only health, if you want to expose some endpoints like /info, which is going to give you information about your application. You can also have /beans, which is going to give you all the beans which are there in your application. You can have many, I think more than 20 endpoints will be there. If you want to activate all of them, you can just use star here. So not only info, it will also activate the environment. It also activate the other actuators stuff. I'm only caring for info, or if you are interested, you can just make it star so that everything will be activated. Now, if you're going to do Control S, by default, info will be right now activated as well. So I expect that whenever you're going to do a refresh and you're going to click on this endpoint, it's going to by default take you to the /info, and I should be able to see the information about my application. But why I'm not able to see the information about my application is the first thing. Second thing is that why I'm getting a 404 page again. So maybe I don't have any information set. So let me start setting some of the information. So I can do info. You can see there is the attribute called info, and I can set my information about here. So I can just do info.app or application, whatever you want to write. Let's say info.app.name, and this is going to be my employee app, and info.app. Let's say version, and the app version is, let's say 1.0.0, and any other thing like info. You can write anything over here. I'm writing app here. You can write application as well. And I can write info.app.description, and I can set like Selenium Express employee app. Okay, right now I got few things. So do you think once it's restart the application, if I do go over here, do a refresh, click on no instances is available, maybe this is not up yet, now it is up, click on this, now still we are not able to see the information about our application. So there is one more thing we have to activate here, I believe. I don't remember it. So can I just check enabled and info.enabled something? You can say info.environment.enabled or something you should have. Can I just check with info? Are you finding anything? Info management.info.environment.enabled, whether to enable the environment information. By default it is false. Let me make it true. All right, I think right now we should be able to see our information. Can I go over there, do a refresh, let the instance comes up, and if I want to click on this, still I'm not able to see this. Why? I think this should have worked. Control S. Can I do a refresh? Can I click on this? No. Is it exclude or include?
That's what I was about to say, because I think it's include.
Oh, let's see that. Can I do Control S? There we go. Come over here.
Be double equal to, I think.
Oh, sorry. Control S. That's why it was giving me exception. Okay, now it started. Refresh. Click on this. There we go. You got your application property set here. Okay. Now your info is working. Your health is also working, right? You can do the same for this as well, right? You can just do right click, Spring, add starter. You can just add the Spring Boot actuators to this. Okay, do a next, update your POM file, and now do a finish, right? Once it is done, you can also copy this variables and open this address service, open the resources, open the application.properties file, open this with a generic editor and paste this off right here. Okay, and there you go. Do Control S and start your address service. Well, can I do a map and update just to be sure that every dependency has been faced? And now I can just to start the application as a Spring Boot app. Let me start the one with number 8082 port number. And once it is started, can I go to my Eureka, do a refresh, and can I click on my address service? It's giving me information, but right now I have just done a copy paste. Can I just make it address app, Selenium Express address app? There we go. Do Control S, do refresh here. Come up, man, come up. Employee service, address service is up. There we go. Address app. Can I check the health here? Health is up. And right now, can I come to the employee app? And this is my employee related information. If I'll check the health, whether it is up or down, there we go. It is up. So I can give this endpoint to you, right? Let's say this application is in my server. I can give this endpoint to you to check whether my application is up or down, so that you can make a request to my application based on the health, because I have activated my Actuators endpoint. So any microservices before communicate, it can do a status check by having this endpoints, right? I think it's making sense. So far we're on the same page, yes or no? Or like it's confusing? Guys, tell me, it's Saturday, right? I'm taking a class for you.
No confidence.
I'll sleep otherwise. Hers, making sense?
Yeah, yeah, able to understand.
Yeah. Any questions? Anusha, Aparna, any questions? Anusha, any questions? Aparna, any questions?
No,
Okay, cool.
everything is done.
Fine. Chandrakant, Srinivas, everything is good, right? Kiran, Karthik, things are good, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, fine. Now let's just get started. Okay, Control C, and let me just close this. Let me just open an incognito window, and let me paste it over here, and there you go. Why did I open this in a normal window? You know, because right now here, if you're gonna click, you're gonna be seeing your data like this. But there I have a JSON pretty. I have installed that, so that it is just making my JSON pretty. Good to eyes. So yeah, so anyhow, we can manage right now. That thing is done. Fine. So now let's just get started with the open Feign integration, right? So let's just try to make REST calls using open Feign. So far, guys, what we are doing in our employee app, whenever we are hitting this endpoint, whenever we are doing a send, we are getting our data back. And this address response we are getting from our address service. And yesterday we have configured this using the REST API. Using our REST template. So if you do remember, this endpoint is where? This endpoint is in my employee application. Can I collapse everything? Go to the employee service. Let me close everything so that nothing will be confused. And I think I can open this up. I can go to the controller. This is the endpoint I'm hitting. Internally, it's making a service call. This is the service. And here we are making a REST call. Getting our address response, setting the address response with the employee response, and we are sending it back to the user. And this employee response right now got a couple of things. It's got your employee related information as well as the address response. And this address response has all these things. That's why you are seeing this in your JSON format right here. But right now, what I will be doing, this call that we are making right now, where is that? Here. Here we are no longer going to use this method. This method we have created yesterday. We are calling our address service using a REST template call. Like this, we are making a call, and this is going to be our service name, like the service address service, the way it has been registered with our application, with our Eureka. Right now with my Eureka, the address service is registered with this name. So I was just using this name to making a hit to the Eureka server, so that Eureka server will find the available instances and will do the client side load balancing using the Spring Cloud, Spring Cloud starter load balancer. But right now, this thing that we have done using the REST template call, and right now I will not be doing this. Now what I want, now let's try to fill in the data for this address response. Let me try to fill in the data over here by making a open Feign call, right? By making a REST client call using a open Feign, using the open Feign REST client. Guys, it's raining hard outside, let me tell you that. If you are hearing any background noise, if you're feeling like my voice is going up and down because of the network issue, just let me know in advance. So far you guys are hearing me well, right? Can you confirm, please?
Yes.
Okay. So right now, let me just start creating my open Feign REST client. So I'm going to create a REST client here. This is going to be an interface, this is going to be an interface. I will create an interface right now, and I will put it inside a package called open Feign client, or you can say REST client. I'll say open Feign clients, right? And what is going to be my interface name? I'm inside my employee service. I want to make a call to the address service to get some address related data. So I'll say this is my address client. Okay, so I have my address client here. So you can see I want to make a call. If I'll go, my main intention here is right now in my employee service, I want to get this data, which is basically going to be my address data based on a ID of an employee. So this call will go from here, from my employee service, from here it will go to here. So to do that, I will take the help of this address client that I'm building right now, and you know what to do. So how to create a Feign client, what annotation I'll be using, anybody? How to make Feign client? So I'm not getting it because I don't have the dependency included. I already told you guys this thing, like how I'll be doing, so I'll not be explaining. Quickly, let me create this one. Let me just add the open Feign client, or let me have it installed in my pom.xml. And once it is done, I can come over here, do a Feign client right here. And right now, this is my Feign client. The next thing, I will be designing the method. My intention will be, I'm making a call to this particular service. I want to call like from here, and I will be giving an ID, employee ID, and you're going to be getting me the address for that particular employee ID. And if you remember, we already have a controller method created, or a controller handler created in our address service. So I'll go to the controller, open this up. I have given you a trick in the last session. I'll copy this much, Control C. I'll close this. I'll go to my address client. I'll collapse everything, link to editor, so that you will not be confused. I'm here in the address client of my employee service, and I will just paste it over here. There we go. Now you have this guy, do a Control-Shift-O to have the import, and remove this method signature, method body, so that we don't have any exception, because this is an interface. This is my method name is get address by employee ID. I'll be giving an employee ID. That with that employee ID, you will map that ID to here, making a call to this particular service, and then once you make this API call, you'll be getting the response back. Attach this response back. All these things you do it in the runtime, because I will not be giving the implementation. This will be you create a proxy in the runtime, and just get me the result. So what I will do, this is a declarative way. I will just copy this one. I don't need to give the body. I can straight away go to my employee service, and right now I can call this method. And where this method is inside my address client. So let me just create the variable for that first. Private address client, and there we go, auto var. And I can take my address client, come down. Where is that? Right here. Address client dot get employee by ID. Pass in the ID. The ID you will be getting from your controller. To your service, reminding you that I'm in my service right now, and pass in the ID over here. There you go. Do a Control S, and I think this is also not saved. Do a Control S. This error should go away. Why it is not going? Why the error is not going? Look at that, how I'm handling the response. It is the address response. What it is giving? It is giving a response entity of the address response. It is not only going to return you the address response, it is also going to give the details of the address response, like what is the status code, what is the HTTP headers, and the different things. So I only want the address response back from my response entity, so I can just do dot body, right? So here I can just do dot get body, and there you go, it's going to get you the address response. If it is confusing, just click on this to a control1 extract to, can I extract to a variable? Control1 man, control1 extract to a local variable like this, make it like address response entity, and now you can just do response entity dot get body. Okay, I don't want to change the name is done. Enter dot get body, sorry, get body, don't do it over here, you just get the, I don't want to do this. What I want to do, no, I want to fetch, I want to make the call. This is my Feign client method. This is gonna get me what? This method is going to get me what? This method is going to get me a response entity back, response entity of address response. So let's go over there, do a control1, assign the statement to a new local variable. This is going to get you a address response entity, and now from this entity you get the body. So dot get body, there we go. Now this is going to get you the address response. Set this up right here. Okay, cool. So we have this thing done. So do a control S. So things should work or things should not work right now. If I'll basically stop my application, what do you think? It will work or it will not work?
It won't work, sir.
Why it will not work?
Because what about that interface is, we haven't created any bean, it's not required, sir, for that interface.
Exactly. So we need, so basically, let me just, I don't know, my system became a little slow, guys. Just bear with me. Okay, anyhow, so what Srinivas is saying that for the, I don't know, it's become so damn slow. Array. Do I need to restart? I'm not able to move my cursor, guys. Okay. Man, my recording is happening, right? Let me stop my recording for a moment. Stop recording. Okay. Can I go here and do some operations? Okay, so I have stopped and closed everything. So now let me go to my employee service. Yes, Srinivas, you were saying something. So now my question is, in my service class, if I'll go over here, I have my service call over here. And right now, this is where I have done my OpenFeign. I've created my OpenFeign client over here called get address by employee ID. I'm getting the response entity, getting the body out of it, and resetting it back to over here. Now my question is, if I am going to be starting my employee service, so let's say I'll be starting my discovery service, and I will be starting my employee service as well. Let me start my discovery service. It's up. Let me start my employee service. And once it is started, I'll also start the address service. And right now, if I will go to my Postman, if I'm going to make a hit right here, then will I be getting the data? Let the server comes up. I think they are not coming up. First of all, it is not going to work. Why? Because we'll have some exception, I believe. Let me go over there. So can I go to, let me make it half screen. And can I go to the employee service? Where is the employee service? Discovery service, address service. Employee service is not yet started because there should be some exception here. So can I start my employee service one more time? Right click, run as Spring Boot application. This will not start. I'll tell you why. I think you already guessed the reason. Okay. It is not starting. Why? Because it is saying that address client, define address client in your configuration. Consider defining a bean for address client in your configuration, because in your employee service, you are making a Feign client call right here, using this method, and you have defined this address client and made it AutoWare. But this address client bean, we are not able to create. So are you forgetting to create a bean for this? Now I'm going to tell Spring that, hey, I will not be creating the bean. You create the bean, you create the proxy for me by enabling the, what is that? Feign clients. Do right click, save and start the application again, run a Spring Boot app. Let's see if my application starts right now, and right now again it will fail. And why it is going to fail? It is saying right now either name or value is must for the Feign client. It is saying, okay, I got everything, but inside the address client, you have not defined a name for the Feign client. Can you give me a name? Now, can I give a name here called XYZ? Yeah, I can. I told you that I can give name anything right over here to this particular Feign client. Now, can I start my application, run a Spring Boot app? Right now, it should start the application, I believe. The application will be started, and obviously now employee service is up. There are 3 or 4 instances of the address service is up. Maybe I can just stop 3 instances of address service. Let's just have only 1 address service running right now. Can I stop this? Okay, now only 1 address service is off, discovery service is up, employee service is up. Now my question is, if I'm going to be going over here, making a call right here, will it work? No. Why it is not working? It is saying that now the load balancer does not contain a instance for XYZ, LST, whatever. And if you're going to look it closely, this is the name of the service. This is the name of my Feign client. So what basically is happening here, whenever you are making a Feign client call right here, it is looking for the URL. So basically it is going to make a hit here. Now, if you're going to see this, it is going to make a hit to address/1. But right now, it is looking for this name. It is thinking that the Feign client is knowing that the Eureka you are also using in this application is asking to Eureka that do you have any service registered with this name so that I can fetch the URL for that. And if you have it, just get me all the URL for this instance, and I will be basically do the load balancing and sending the request in a load balanced way. But now we don't have it over here because the instance that we have it is right now address service. So copy the address service, you go over there and you paste it right here. Now this is my name. The name should be the instance which has been registered with your Eureka. Right now I have my instance set. Now if I'll go over here, if I'll do a hit right now, will it work? What do you think? Now this will be changed to address service, and the Eureka will get you the information about how many services has been registered for address. So the Eureka can make so that my Feign client can make a call to this endpoint. So do you think right now it will work? What is your assumption? Harsh?
I think we need to give that context path as well.
Exactly, Harsh. Thank you. Yeah, that's the thing. If I'll do send, you can see that still we are having an error, but this is not an error because of the load balancer is not finding the thing. It is a 404 exception because of the endpoint. Address service /address/1. Obviously, this address service will get us the details. So for an example, if I will go to Eureka, you can see address service will have this endpoint. So this endpoint we will get, this host information will get along with the port number. Let's say we have 1, we will be having that instance given by the Eureka to our Feign client. So the Feign client will be using this host information to make a call by appending that particular thing address/1. But right now, what about the context path? And that's why you can see that we're having a 404 whenever we are having a get. So we're able to make a call, but obviously we don't have any endpoint exist like this because we are missing the context path. And to set the context path, how can we set the context path? Harsh?
Here in the
Path.
Path.
So what is a path? Address app. If you don't remember the path, you have defined the path here. Resources, right here. And your path name is what? Your path name is this guy. Config path, right? This is the config path. Actually, you have defined the path name here. Address app address/API in your address application. Let me collapse everything. Do a link to editor. You go to the employee service, address client, define your path here, address app/API. Now let me just do save it. Now I think this time it will reload the changes. If I'll do a send, come up. Yeah, now it is working fine. So now we made a REST call. Okay, we made a REST call through what? Through the Feign client, and where we have defined the Feign client right here. And whenever we're going to be hitting this method, by default, whatever the ID we are providing, whenever we are calling this method, that ID will be mapped to this guy right here. It will be replaced with this, and Spring will make a call, or your Feign client will make a call asking to Eureka that get me the instances of address service, available address service. Right now we have only one, but if you have many, then it can also do the load balancing. Okay, so right now the address service is getting hit, and you can see our entire URL also, like the entire URL you can imagine. We are not printing it, but you can imagine that. http://address service/address app/API/address/employee ID, whatever you are providing. I think this is making sense. Right now, if you have one more instance of address service running, let's say I'm starting another instance, so the open Feign will do the load balancing automatically. You don't have to add anything right here. As you guys know, inside, if you go to the service, if you go to the pom.xml, if you go to the dependency hierarchy, if you're gonna click here load, you can see the Netflix Eureka client and also the open Feign. Okay, they all have this Spring Cloud load balancer phased in. So if you want to add it explicitly to your pom.xml file by adding the load balancer like this, add starter, and then you can just look for load balancer and can add this cloud load balancer, do a next. You can do it explicitly, but it is not needed because your Feign client, because your Netflix Eureka right now is already pulled that dependency, and you don't have to have it explicitly like this. If you have it, that's good. If you don't have it, you can simply comment this out. This will still work, right? Because it's already, we have it as a transitive dependency, right? So now I can remove it. This is just to show you. But if you want to have it without Eureka, if you don't have Eureka, then this will not be phased in by default. Then you need to activate this dependency if you're not using Eureka, and the dependency will be Spring Cloud Starter Load Balancer, right? But we have it already, so we don't have to do anything. Do a Control S, and that's it. Now, right now, let me just, I think I have already started the application. Now let me just see my console. I have my address service. Let me clear this, and also I have a discovery service. I have my address service too. Previously, all the request was handled by this guy, 8082 port number, but we have right now another instance is up. So right now I have cleared it out. Can I go to the postman? Can I hit 5 requests? 1, 2, 3, 4. And right now it should be equally distributed. 2 went to 8082. Another 2 should have went to 8087, right? And right now, if you're gonna have one more, now it is gonna go to another one, like the first one. Okay, in a round robin way, it is going to handle the it will do the load balancing. Can we change the basic algorithm, which is round robin right now? If you want to do the load balancing in a random fashion, can we do that? Yeah, this is just a question. I want to hear from you. Do you think right now it is basically handling the load in a round robin fashion, isn't it? Like this. Annotator. And right now, what is happening here? You have your employee service. Okay. You have your address service. There are 2 address service. This is address service 1. This is address service 2. Okay. Now one request is going here, another request is going here, another one is going here, another one is going here in a round robin fashion. But let's say the round robin fashion will always not good, right? Why? Because imagine there is user A who is logged into this application, and the user A is taking 30 seconds to come out of this application. But another user logged in and he is taking 1 hour to come out of this application. Then if you're gonna do the round robin technique, if you're gonna keep sending the request, then it will not be equally load balanced. If some of the user is taking more time to sign out from the application, the load will not be equally balanced. So in that case, there are other different technique of load balancing. For an example, instead of doing the load balancing in a round robin fashion, if I want, I can do something random. For an example, like this. Okay, for an example, I can randomly send requests, 1 to here, 2nd to here, 3rd to here, 4th to here, 5 to here, 6 to here, then 7 to here, 8 to here, 9 to here, 10 to here. Randomly I can also do load balancing, right? But that is not default. The default one is round robin. Okay, if you want to use round robin, then you don't have to set it off anything. By default, you guys are using Spring Cloud Load Balancer, and the Spring Cloud Load Balancer has already created a technique for you to do the load balancing. Now the employee service is calling the address service in a load balanced way, and it is following the round robin. But if you guys want to have a different thing, okay, if you want to have a different logic implemented, you can also have it. I'm going to tell you how. Just give me a minute. Guys, I think are you guys interested how to do that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I'll just give you, maybe I just want to give you some assignment. This thing, maybe in the next session we'll start something new, maybe circuit breaker or something. And I think so far, guys, what else is pending? For us, Eureka self-reservation is pending, and the Eureka cluster, how can you create many different Eureka, that is pending. And maybe yesterday Somik was requesting me to tell you guys about console discovery, that is pending. Maybe we can take it to another Saturday, but maybe from the next week we'll be starting another interesting topic, maybe some circuit breaker or something. This is around 1 or 1.5 weeks where we are talking about the service discovery and registration. So from the next week we'll start something new. Okay, but anyhow, I'll be giving you some assignment. Make sure to practice this. Maybe I'll be giving you the solution for that as well. But yeah, for now, before I wrap up the session, I'll quickly show you that, and I'll tell you more about the client-side load balancing. If you want to create your custom load balancer, how you'll be creating it, let me tell you that. For an example, right now, so far, I think all of you understand that the Feign client is by default handling the load using a round robin fashion, which has been set by our client-side load balancer called Spring Cloud Starter Load Balancer, right? Right now, if you want to override that one, I have already pasted a link for you from the documentation. Can I go to my stickies? This is the link. I'm pinging you the link in the chat. Everyone, if you want, you can copy it and read it later. But quickly, I'll show you that, and maybe I will not explain you much. I'll explain you that in a separate session. This is a separate topic. But yeah, don't worry about the code. I'm going to be telling you about that. See, guys, they have created a bean called random load balancer. Don't see the code. Don't see the code. Random load balancer. They have created a bean, and they have created a random load balancer for you guys. If you guys can see, they are returning something called a reactor load balancer. If you want to come to your application, do a Control-Shift-T, go to the reactor load balancer. You can see right now the reactor load balancer here is basically a implementation of your load balancer. Now, if you're going to do a Control-T here, you can see you have a round robin load balancer and you have a random load balancer. It was called something different in a ribbon. I was trying to check on that, but I haven't found some of the information about it. Maybe I'll also do some of the research, but right now we have only a random load balancer and round robin load balancer, which comes by default for this interface. So by default, this has been set, round robin load balancer. If you want to set the random load balancer here, what they are telling you that if you want to create a custom load balancer, you can absolutely do it, and you can set the random load balancer by creating a bean just the way they have told you. You can copy paste also. There is no problem. I'll tell you the code as well. I'll explain you a little bit. But for now, how to create our custom load balancer. Okay, for that, I can create a new class, and I can say this class is Feign clients, and I can say like what I should say here. Let's say address service load balancer, like this. And first of all, make sure to have a first of all, yeah, let me have an annotation here called LoadBalncerClient. And for which client you want to have the load balancing thing, and I want to have the load balancer for this client called address service, right? Can I copy this and can I go over there, and I want to create a load balancer for this service. And then right here you can create your Feign client bean by yourself, like this. Public Feign, you can just return a Feign client, but you have a builder to build the Feign client. You can just do Feign.builder and Feign builder, and you can just return Feign.builder. This is going to return you a Feign client back, right? So now you can make it a bean, okay, and I think you can make it a load balanced, okay, like this. And also you can also make sure that the way you want to make, by default it will be round robin, right? So the way you can basically you can define the load balancing stuff, you can basically set a configuration over here. Now the way you can give the configuration, you can just write configuration and you can create a configuration class. Let's say my custom load balancer configuration, like this, maybe dot class. I don't have the class yet. Maybe let me just create this class. Can I Control C? Can I go over here, create a new configuration class? Right here, my custom load balancer configuration, do a finish. Now can I import this particular class in my load balancer? Can I do Control space? And first of all, I want to import this. Is it imported? Yeah, imported dot class. Now inside this class right now, I have to define a bean. Now which bean is that? This bean, whatever that's there in the documentation. I'm gonna copy that. I'm gonna be pasting it over here. I'll do Control Shift O to have all the imports. I'm gonna import the environment from the Spring. So let's not see the code. We'll see the code later. So basically here we are creating a random load balancer, okay, for the name. And what is this name? The name they are getting from the environment variable. You know, this environment class, you might have heard in the Spring MVC sessions, right? Why we need this? We need it to get something from our properties, right? And right now they're getting the property name for our environment. This particular name will be address service. So this load balancer we are creating for address service, this name will be address service, and they're creating a random load balancer for the address service. We'll go into this. Don't look at the code. Don't go mad. Do the save. I'll explain that later. Let's first see that whether it is working. Now what I have done here, I have created a address load balancer for address service. I just made sure that for the address client, I have copied the name from here and pasted it. So for all of my address service client, like if you have 1000 methods here inside the address client to make calls to different endpoints of my address service, then all those things will be load balanced in this way. In which way? In this way, whatever the algorithm you have defined over here. And we have defined a random load balancer here. So I hope that right now it will not be round robin. I'm not sure. Let me just check whether it is working or not, because I'm pretty much familiar to Ribbon and not that much familiar to Spring Cloud. It is pretty much same, but let's see that whether it is working or not. So right now, if I will go to the employee server.
Haven't added any annotation for that configuration.
No, don't give any configuration annotation. Just give the bean. We have already given the configuration class right there, right? That will take care.
Oh.
That will take care, I believe. So let me just start it. And let's see that whether it is up right now. Okay, Jai Bajrang Bali. Let me just do send. How many requests I hit? Maybe around something, right? It's not equal, right? Can I go over here? Can I go to here? And I think there are 2 requests here in 8082. This was previously we did hit, right? Now see, there are around 3, 5. Let me clear this up for your satisfaction. Address service and address service 2. I cleared this up. We have defined our logic right here. And this should be a bean, no extra configuration. Make sure this class you are exporting here. That's it. Okay. Or you can also change the value to this. Either it can be name or can be value. Anything can be fine. I'll be telling you guys more about I'll explain you the code maybe in the next session. But for now, that's it, because it's already 1 hour and I don't want to expand it. Just want to make sure that this guy is working fine. 2 here. Yeah, right now it is working. 1 second. I change it to value, right? 1 second. Discovery, address service. We don't have any call here. It's empty, huh? Let me hit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's say there is 9 requests. 3 went to here. 6 should be there. 3, 3, 6. Perfect. Working. Okay. Any questions? So instead of name, you just use value here. I think the name and value should be same, but use value here. Okay. Fine. I'll explain you more about this. I'll explain you. Maybe I also need to do a little bit of research. If anything gets set, like I'm sure that the round robin load balancer gets set by default, right? But if you want to use your customized load balancer, then you can create a configuration class, define your reactor load balancer, and you can give either of the instance like random load balancer, or you can give like the other one, round robin load balancer. Now don't worry about the code. I'll explain you the code in a different session. Just want to show you that how this thing works. So do you want to have it over here inside the repo, or maybe I can delete this up? Now whatever you say. Now because I haven't explained it, so do you want me to have the code here, or maybe I can simply delete this particular package? Yeah, okay, you were asking something. Ask maybe after this.
If you send 4 requests, what will happen? If you send 4, it will be 2 and 2?
No, you cannot guarantee. It will be random, right? 1,
Okay.
2,
Yeah, right,
3,
right,
4.
right.
Now see, 1 went to here, and 3 went to here. This was previously hit. Akhil.
Yes, Abhilash.
Confirmed, right?
Yes, confirm. Yes. It's random. It's happening random.
It's happening randomly. Correct. So guys, do you want me to delete this code, or do you guys want me to have it?
No, please don't delete.
Okay, then that's fine. But I will not be using this right now as I haven't explained it. So maybe for now I'll be commenting the configuration from here. So if I'll remove the configuration, it will still work, but it will work in as I have not defined any configuration here, it will work as a round robin fashion, right? Because I've removed the configuration. Maybe I will comment this out for you guys so that you can copy the code from here. And for now, I can just do Control-C, Control-V. And for my purpose right now, I will not be using any load balancer client. Control-S. And now I think it will do in a round robin fashion, and the things will work fine as well. For request 2, 3, 4, 2 should go there and 2 should go to the other server which is running. Equally, it will distribute the load because I have removed my configuration, which was this, where I have done a random load balancer. So you can have your own load balancer as well. Just want to tell you that in this way, in your open Feign, you can create your custom load balancer, and this will make sure that for all the address service, it is gonna do the load balancing in this way. And if you are not specifying this, then obviously by default it will be the round robin way. So if you have any other load balancer, want to define for any other service, create another load balancer like this. But can you have one as a global? I'll tell you in the future sessions whenever we'll be doing it. So far everything is confirmed, everything is clear, or I did mess it up?
Yes, Abhilash, clear.
Okay.
So you commented that and it's working a round robin and two are going.
Exactly.
Right. And if we want random, we will create a special bean.
Exactly. Okay guys, before you do this assignment, I have few things to tell you, because this is going to give you clarity whenever you'll be solving the assignment. Guys, so far in this course, we have used one single database for all of our microservices, isn't it? Look, like it looks like this. You have a application. This is your employee service, right? This is our employee service. And you have one application like this, and this is our address service. So right now the problem is we are using one single database like this, which is our MySQL database. And inside this MySQL database, we have a table, and this is my address table, and we have another table here, and this is our employee table, right? So inside one database only we kept our address table, and my address service is connected to this database, and my employee service is connected to this database, and it is working the employee table. The address service is using the address table. It goes on very smoothly so far. But is this an architecture that we should use? Absolutely not. Am I recording? Yeah, I am recording. Okay, so this architecture should we use? No, we should not use this. This is an anti-pattern. I told you that from the day number one, that every microservices should have different databases. We should not tying up to one single database whenever you talk about couple of applications. So basically guys, this is something that you have to keep in mind, the way you have to deal with the data, right? Using the microservice architecture, what we are trying to solve. Microservices architecture is also called a distributed system. We are distributing the business responsibility into multiple applications. We are splitting one big monolithic application into thousands of pieces, right? Or thousands and hundreds of pieces, right? And pieces in the sense, 100 of applications, one monolithic application, we're changing into hundreds of applications. Now we cannot do this, like, hundreds of application is connecting to one single database. Imagine if hundreds of application is working with one single database. For an example, the address service and the employee service is right now tying up to the MySQL database. That is the only database that I have. If one developer of the address service want to change something inside the address table, imagine as employee service and all the other services that we have, if they are all connected to the same single database, if I'm doing any changes to this address table schema here, if I'm altering the schema, if I'm doing something as an address service developer, then it is going to impact to all these microservices that is up and running for years. Because if I need to change something here, then I as a developer need to talk to the developer of employee service, developer of X service, Y service, Z service, and this is again leading me to the monolithic architecture, right? I'm running away from that. As a microservices developer, I'm like, I'm changing something my database, that should not impact any other people or any other developer working for a different microservice, and that's something is our goal. But right now in this course, so what we did, we are working in one single database to make things simple. We just want to make sure that we all are like, beginner. We are just started with microservices. Let's not involve so many things, so many databases, so many applications, and let's not go mad with that. So I did this mistake. This is a mistake. Knowingly, this mistake has been made just to make things just to make things easy for everyone. So right now, whenever you're working on this application, the thing that I want to tell you, Control Z. The thing that I want to tell you here, in real time, things will be like this. This thing that I'm explaining is going to be, going to impact your thought process whenever you are developing this assignment, and it's very important. So try understanding this. So right now what we have is in real time, right now what we have is one database, but in real time it will be like this. It will be database number 1 and database number 2. This is my address database. This is my employee database, and my employee database is connected to the employee service. The address database is connected to the address service. Simple. Now the address database will have an address table where the address data of the employee goes, and employee database will have an employee table where the employee info related information will go to here. Now the thing is that in one of our assignment, I'll be giving you example like this. Like you need to accept the data. You need to accept the data in the employee service. Which data you will be accepting? Let's say you are accepting some employee related data and some address related data, right? So a client is giving you some employee data and address data, like employee number 1, his name is Avilas, he is from so and so, like, department, and this is his address, like Marathali, Bangalore, for an example. So now this is the address and the employee information somebody is giving to your employee service. Now that client is asking you to save the data of employee and save the data of employee address. Now the thing is that how you will be saving their information. Now think, whenever you are accepting this request, okay, employee data you got, this is your application, you have direct access to the employee table. So you took the employee data, you accepted it as a JSON, you just put it in the database, fine. But address data, you cannot store it inside this database, right? Because this is your employee table, not your address table. Where is your address table? Your address table is here in this database. So right now, how you will be storing the address? You will be accepting the data from the client, but how you will be storing the address data? So to store the data, what you need to do, you cannot directly connect to this database, right? Your application right now cannot connect to the address database directly because obviously this is another application and we don't have any access to this database. In real time, we will not have access to the address database directly. And obviously this is a separate application. Why do they will give you the access their database, right? So what they will do, they will say, okay, you want to store something. So I have an endpoint, for an example, save employee, okay, which will help you to save save employee address. Let's say I have this endpoint, save employee address. This will help you to save an employee address or save an employee address to the address database. Now, what you need to do, you cannot connect to the address DB directly, right? So you will accept the address related details of an employee, then you will connect to this application, and using this endpoint only you will be connecting. Like you will be sending a request called save employee address, and here you will be giving the JSON data that you are accepting. So this employee service need to make an external API call or a REST API call you have to make by giving the data of the address by calling to this endpoint called save employee address. This is going to be a post request, and this is going to save you. This is going to help you to save your data to the address table. So this is something that you got to remember. The endpoint name, I just kept it like this just to make you understand, but in real time it will be like employee/employee only, and which will be a post request. So do the thing or think about the scenario like this pattern. Okay, whenever you are trying to accept a request and that request is having the employee data and the address data, you want to store both of the data, right? Like you create a endpoint inside the address service, a post endpoint inside the address service, which will help you to save the data. In the employee service only, don't make directly database call, because right now your example is like this. Right now you have this, so like you guys will be very excited. Okay, Vilas, this is very simple. Why you are explaining all this thing? Because what you guys will do, As we have followed only one database pattern, so we have a database, our MySQL database. This database is connected to the employee service. This database is connected to the address service. So what you guys will do, you guys will accept the employee data and the address data, and in the employee service only, you will save the employee data to the employee table. And as this employee service application has a connection to the database, you will accept the address data, and you will also make a database call directly and will save the data to the database. Don't do this. I know you can do that. I know you guys are smart, but right now we are learning this architecture, right? Microservices architecture. This thing I have just replicated just to make you guys understand, because that time we are just starting out, right? Right now you guys are pro, right? Think like a microservice developer, okay? Even though we are working on the monolithic services, for example, think about that architecture that I have explained whenever you are solving an assignment. And I think I have given you one example. I have completed one assignment. So, look at that example as well. So, yeah, so that's it. So if you still have any questions on this pattern, just let me know. Okay, and I'll help you guys to clarify your questions. If you are from the paid community, guys, please ask me on the group or just ping me directly, and I'll help you guys to solve the thing. I know maybe if you're a very beginner, maybe it will be a little bit tricky to understand. I don't think it's tricky. It's very easy, right? I think you have already solved it. And if you are from if you are watching it as a free playlist from my website or from YouTube or maybe some other platform, just make sure that you put a comment, you write a comment, and I'll read it out. And if I can help you, I'll surely help. All right, keep asking questions, guys. Questions are bad. Okay, questions are really bad. That will just bug you. Ask it. Okay, so that's it. So let's go for the assignment. Thank you. Now, guys. Okay, you do this. This is going to be your assignment, and I'll do this self-record, okay, and I'll post it. But what you guys can try right now, you try to do this. Okay, now your job is going to be, you can create a endpoint called /employee. Everyone, please try doing it. You go ahead and develop an endpoint called /employees. The job will be fetch all the employee information. Fetch all the employees from your database. Let's say in my database right now there are 5 employees. It will fetch the employee information like ID, name, whatever, plus the address response as well. Okay, the address response also it should fetch, and you should fetch like the lane, street, jeep, and everything. And this is going to be about one employee. Just like that, for every employees that you have, you can keep fetching their employee data plus address data. Okay, so this endpoint you try to build it by yourself, and also try to build another endpoint called /employee only. But this is going to be taking a JSON. It should take a JSON, and this JSON is going to be your employee information. So somebody wants to create an employee inside your database. What he will make a post request, and he'll give you the employee details through a JSON as a request body. And he will not only give you the employee details, he'll also give you the address details. So whenever he hits this endpoint /employee, he will be providing you the employee details, the address details. You should accept it. You should save the employee data to the employee table, and you should make a REST call to the address service to save the address data inside the address database. But don't directly save it using DB, using the DB call. You make a REST call inside the address service. Also, you create a endpoint to save address. Inside the employee service also, you create a endpoint to save employee. Get the entire data of employee and address. Then save the employee related data to the employee table and the address related data to the address table, but not by doing it directly, by making a REST call. Okay, same for the employees as well. Am I making sense what I'm trying to do? You create these 2 endpoints /employees you create, which is going to fetch you all the employees, not only the employee information about like the employee information as well as the address information. And this one, you should take employee information and the address information and save the employee information inside the employee database and address information inside the address database. Okay, I just want to make sure that if the requirement is clear. Requirement is clear or not clear? Harsh?
This is confused.
Confused?
Yes.
Okay. 1 second. What I am trying to say, Akhil, you go ahead and create something like this. Like inside the employee employee controller, let's say what I want you guys to do. Let's say first of all, we want to create a endpoint. Endpoint like this, get mapping in /employees. Now this is going to get me all the employees related data, right? Like this, I can just do get employee. Okay, and now this get employee will get you all the employee data. Like how it will get you? Like you can just have a response entity, and it should get you a list of employee response. So what is that? Employee response. Yeah, employee response. So right now, whenever somebody is going to hit /employees, it is gonna get you the list of employees. So how will be fetching the list of employees? So the goal will be you should have a list of employee response, and this is what you should give back, employee list. And let's say I'm making it null right now. You should give it back to the whoever is calling this endpoint. So you can just do return response entity, and you can just do dot status code, and the status is going to be http status dot OK, because it's a get endpoint, and the body is going to be whatever you're going to be fetching in. So where you'll be fetching in the employee list, you'll be fetching in the employee list from the database, right? So what is my database? My database is how can I make a database call? Using the employee service. So for now, you can basically use the employee service to make a call. So let's say get all employee. You don't have this method, you got to create it. So get all employees. Okay, get all employees, and right now you got to create this method. So you can hover on this and create a method in your service, and inside your service right now you can just do this up. Every day you're going to be doing this work once you're going to started working on something. Let's say this is my get all employees. Now here you want to find all your employee details. How you'll be finding it? You'll be making a DV call. How you'll be making a DV call? You have an employee repo, so make a DV call here. So you can do employee repo.
Find us.
Yeah, find all. Can I think I had to refactor this variable name also. It is capital letter. Employee repo dot find all. Now this is gonna get you all the employees back. Now here is the tricky thing. Not the tricky thing, you guys already know how to do it, but I'll ask you a question. Okay, anyhow, if I'm doing it, the other one you do it, this one I'll do it for you. So I'll do assign statement to a new local variable. This is gonna be all employees. Let's say employee list. Now you need to do what? You need to send this back, right? But you cannot basically send a employee back, right? You need to send a list of employees, not a list of employee, list of employee response. So you need to use model mapper. So model mapper, convert the thing, model mapper.map, map everything that you have over here to this guy. And you can just use this, Control C, and you need to map this list to a employee response list. Okay, you have a list of employee object, right? You cannot directly return that because we are returning employee response. So you need to map the same to the employee response. And how can we map and list? We can use array like this. You can just do class, and there you go. And now this is going to get you what? This is going to get you a employee response array, and I cannot basically return the array directly here, right? Why? Because here it is taking a list. So we need to convert this array that we got here to a list. And how can I convert an array to a list? I can do arrays dot age list. Okay, and now what I can do, I can convert this guy to the list, and instead of the list, I can right now store them inside the list of employee response, and I can say employees response, right? And I can return these things up. right? Control B over here, and there you go. Now this is saved, and in my employee controller, I can save this. Now get all employee will get you the employee list, and I can return this employee list back, right? So if I'm gonna go to my postman, if I'm gonna duplicate this tab, and if I am going to change not the address app, employee app, can I duplicate this tab? And right now here my endpoint will be /employees to enter, and I'm getting 2 employees. I have Abhilash and Sagar, but the address response is null. So how can I get the address response back? So right now, one simple thing you can do, you have already built the address client, right? You already got the address client somewhere here. Where is that? Right here. And you already have this method, but it is going to fetch you one employee. So one alternative things you can do over here inside your employee service here, how can you set the address response for the employee? You can iterate, right? You can do what? You can do employee response. Then you can have a for each loop, and for every employee you set the address response. So you can either use the for each the general way, or you can use the Java 8 for each, and you can just write employee. Then you can just iterate this employees. You can just, every time you iterating, you can just do employee dot set address response. And how can you get the address response? You need to make a hit. You need to make a hit to the how can you get the address response? This is the employee microservice you are building. You don't have any access to the address service database, right? So you will be getting the data through a REST endpoint call. And how can you make a REST call? You already have this guy called address client, right? And you can just do address client dot get address by employee, pass in the ID. So for this employee we're iterating, what is the ID of this guy? Employee dot get ID. Okay, and you can just get the body from this, get body. Okay, if it is confusing, let me move this guy to a different line so that you guys won't be confused. Here I'm making a REST call, and this is gonna get you back your address response back, right? Assign statement to a new local variable. This is gonna get you a address response back, and you can set this address response right now with each employees. There you go. Now here you are making a REST call, and you are making a REST call using what? Feign, right? Now there you go. Do a control S, go over here, do a send. Are we getting the result? Let it come up, and there you go. We are getting the address data of every employees right here. But do you think, is it an efficient idea to make a REST call like this? Look at my code, and do you think this is a good solution?
I think we can get out the data, all the address data in one code. We are making against call and again.
Exactly. That's the thing that I want to hear. Basically, what you are doing here, you are making a call again and again. Let's say you have 1,000 employee, then 1,000 time you're gonna be hitting this request. You're gonna be hitting the endpoint. So that's why what I told you guys to do. Don't hit the endpoint again and again. You can just get all the employees in one go. Like from here, if you want to get all the address at once, instead of getting address by ID one time, if you want to get it in one shot, you need to have some API which expose all the addresses in one time, right? And for that, you need to go over here. You need to create a endpoint first of all in your address microservice. See where we are right now. We're inside the address service controller, and right here, first of all, you need to have an API. So this API you guys only got to build. So public response entity, and this is going to get you a list of address response, or you can directly return address response also. There is no problem. And list of address response. Let's say get all address, and there you go. This is gonna get you all the address back. And then what you need to return? You need to return a response entity. Then just do dot status, http status dot okay, and then the body, right? What is going to the body? Body you need to fetch. And what is going to the body? You want to fetch this. You want to fetch a list of address back from your database, from your address database. Right now you are inside the address service. So right now here you have the database access, right? So address response is equal to null. Okay, so this data you have to fill in the data and send this data back, right? And so that if you want to send it back, somebody can call your API and can get a list of address response, right? Now, how to get the data inside the address service? You got to create a method, get all address. Okay, there you go. We don't have this method. Let's create this one inside my address service. And right here in my address, what you got to do, you got to return all the address back, right? So let's have a database call. We have our address repo here. We can do address repo dot find all, and this is going to get you all the address back. So control 1, assign statement to a new local variable. It's going to get you all address over here. Now you need to return that back, but you need to map the list of address to list of address response. How can you map it? Model mapper. So model mapper dot map, and you can map to all address to address response, right? Address response, and this is going to be an array of address response dot class, and this is how we'll be converting this thing to arrays dot age list, because this is going to be an array. Now I will be one second. I messed it up. Arrays. Yes, arrays dot age list, and now I can wrap this up inside a list, because this is going to get me the array. I'm converting this guy to a list, and I'm going to return this back because my return type needs that, right? And there you go. So this is going to be my address list, and there you go. I can copy this guy, paste it over here. Now my address service is ready, isn't it? Is there any error that I have here? Control S, Control Shift O to remove any imports, and in my controller also I can save it, right? Now my address service is ready. So let me see, by only hitting the address service, I have created an endpoint called what? Can I go to the address controller? Where you are, address controller, right here. Address controller, this guy. This is going to be my get mapping, and you can just have it like you can have get mapping or request mapping, whatever you want. And this is going to be your value. Your value is going to be /address, right? Save it, export it. Let's hit this endpoint. We're going to be getting our address response back that we are fetching from our service by making a DB call, and we're returning a status code of OK. Let's go there, hit it. Now there you go. We're getting all the addresses. Now we can do one thing. We can copy this signature. We can close everything, just not to get confused. And you can go to the employee service right now. You can collapse everything. You can go to the employee service, go to the client that you guys have created, and open up the client here, and you can paste it off, see right here. Okay, and there you go. And you can just remove the signature, and you got a endpoint which is going to get you all the addresses back from your employee service, right? So now it's good. So you have it. You can call this one in one go. You can capture data. So you can go to your service class. Where is your service? Right here. Go over there. And now the new method that you guys are creating, get all employees, right here. Instead of making one call, right here, instead of making the call again and again inside a for each loop, what you can do, you can just remove this guy, right? And then we don't want to make a call again and again. Here at a time only, I want to make a call like address client dot get all employees, get all address I can fetch at once. Control 1, assign statement to a new local variable, and this is going to be your like all the addresses, maybe at a time only. Okay, all addresses. Maybe I can just say dot get buddy, or maybe I can do it in another line. All addresses dot get buddy. This is gonna get you a list of addresses from your response entity. You are fetching the buddy. So assign statement to a new local variable, and this is going to be your address response, right? Your address response. Now you got a list of address response. You got a list of employees. You got a list of employees, right? Employee response. This is a list of employees, right? So you got a list of employees. You got a list of address. You just need to do a match, and you need to set the address response. Let's do a match. Now we have a bunch of address. Now here we are basically maybe I can say employees response. Like now we are right now doing a for each loop. We are looping over every employee, and we can also loop over every address response that we have. So we can just copy this guy and we can say for, or I can just write a normal Java way. You can just convert it to Java 8 if you want. Let's say for, this has all my addresses. Now for all of my addresses, address response, okay, addr response, right? This is my one single response. I can check if the address response that I am getting dot get ID, sorry, address response from here dot get ID is equal to the employee that I am iterating and the current employee that I am having, employee dot get ID, sorry, employee response, sorry, from the employee, from the one employee get ID. If this ID and that ID is matching, move this response, move it up to here. There we go. Okay. Now you can just do employee dot set address response is equal to this, and you are done. You are just making one call. And I think the logic is making sense, right? We're iterating through all the employees. You got two lists right now. You have two lists. The first list is this employees response, and another list you got by making a REST call. This list you got by making a DV call, and another address response you fetch, a list of address response you fetch by making a REST call, right? Now the thing is that you have to iterate every response of the employee, every employees that you have, and inside every employee you will have address response, and you need to set it. So what I have done, I am first iterating through all the employees right here, employee response at for each, and this is my employee variable, my current employee. I'm iterating it, and while iterating, I am checking if the address response also I am iterating. In that address response, while iterating over here, I am just checking if the address response ID is address response dot get ID or get employee ID. Get ID only. Employee dot get ID. Okay, we have two things now. You guys remember, no? In our database, I'm setting if the ID of the employee and ID of the address response matches, I'm just setting it off. If you remember, let me first see whether it works or not. Then I'll explain a little bit. If I'll go to my Postman, if I'm gonna hit it, now I'm getting the same data, right? But right now the only difference is I am making a REST call one time here, getting the data at once, and fetching the data by iterating over here. You can also improve this one using Java 8. It will be much more improved, but I think this is making sense. We are not hitting another server for tons or thousands of time if we have thousands of employees. Now, if you guys remember, in our MySQL workbench, you got MySQL workbench. Right here, you have address. Okay, this is the, okay, every address has a employee ID. Okay, right now there is a problem. This employee ID we did not have here, right? So I have just, I have used my, so right now how the address and employee tables are connected, you have seen. The employee has a ID, and every addresses that you have got a employee ID as well. So it should be like, you should match, you should fetch the address data, you should fetch the employee data, and you should do a comparison using the employee ID. So employee ID of the address and the employee ID itself needs to match. But here I have a comparison with the address response, right? I have compared the address ID and the employee ID. So you just make address response dot get employee ID and employee dot get ID, right? Inside the address response, I don't think I have the employee ID here. That's the problem. Okay, right now it is working. Why it is working? Because my employee ID and the address ID is also same. My address ID is also 1, employee ID is also 1. That's why the mapping is happening perfectly. But if the address ID is 101, then it will not work, right? The match will not be found. So have your employee ID field established inside your Pojo as well. But for now, I'm going to be leaving it like this. It's going to be a challenge for you. So now you just do an assignment, fix this issue, and also you can try doing one more thing. You can try creating a post endpoint right now. Inside your employee right now, make a post endpoint. That post endpoint will be /employee. Inside your employee service, create this endpoint. Accept a JSON. Okay. Inside the JSON, take the employee data, take the address data. Right? Now, inside the employee, in the employee JSON, you post, like you need to save the employee data inside the employee table, and you also need to save the address data inside the address table. So somebody will hit this endpoint to your employee service, will give the employee data and the address data. You need to capture all the data. First of all, you would make a direct call to your DB and save the data, employee data, to the employee table. And address data, you cannot save it to the employee table. You need to save it to the address table. And for that, you cannot directly do it, right? So also you need to go to the address service, and also you need to create a post request for saving the address. And you make a call from the employee to address to save the data of the address. Is it making sense to you right now, what I'm trying to say? Looking into the same pattern, just confirm so that I can wrap up. Hey, no, still not making sense?
No, it is making sense.
Okay. Go ahead and try doing it. And this is going to be your assignment. I know it's a longer session. I can split this up, and you guys can take time and can do it in your own time. All right. And once you guys are done with the assignment, that's good. Good job. You take your own time and complete this, and I will not mix it up. This is the last session for the service discovery and registration. The Eureka cluster creation and the self-preservation and the console, I will be doing it in another session, and I will do it maybe on an off day on Saturday or something. But from the next week, it will be new sessions, new thing. All right. Go ahead and practice the same. Do you have any other questions to ask? The next class will be on Wednesday. Any questions you got to ask, you can ask me right now, or I can stop recording. That's it, right? All right, guys. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next session. Bye-bye. Take care.
Vidash?
Yeah, Harsh.
Can we connect today?
Recording stopped.
Harsh, yesterday I pinged you, man. What happened?
Actually, I've not seen the Skype, and I was on the production issue.
Okay.
So Skype was not open.
I was actually going out, Harsh, today for to watch movie Brahmastra.
Okay, no problem. No.
So basically, I will be coming back maybe in the evening, and I'll go to play cricket. So I completely got this day for me. But whenever I'll tomorrow, Harsh, is possible? Yeah, tomorrow maybe in afternoon we can connect. I'll ping you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you guys. Have a good day. Bye bye.